Okay, hello and welcome back to part 2. Now, first things first that we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some textures because we're gonna need a lot of them. Not all of them are usable, and yeah, some of them are just ugly. So we're gonna fly around and find a couple MLOs. So in CodeWalker, change your selection mode to MLO instance, and let's find ourselves some MLOs. Okay, we can grab this workshop. Paste it here. White type, you right click and extract raw. Not as XML, but raw. Now go into your project folder, new, name it textures. Open that and name it YTYP. Okay, and save your white type right there. Now let's find another one. For example, here. Apartment, white type. Yeah, it has a differently named white type. So to find that, you just hop into part type, white type, and you see the white type name right here. So you copy that. Extract raw. Now, what is this one? Okay, that's also different. So let's copy it. You can be flying around like this and extracting all the MLOs. I'm gonna grab this portion of the top casino. Because I know that casino has a lot of higher quality textures than most of the others. So they have more detail and blend better. Okay, so now we are ready with our white types. Now what we need is this textures testing tool. If you don't have it, you can hop into my Discord and download it, or grab a link to download it from my Discord channel or Discord server. But anyways, we want to open the tool, find our GTA 5 path. You don't want to enable mods. Here I want to tick on extract all textures. It also serves as a full MLO extraction, so we can extract as XMLs and it will extract all the props and shells as an XML. But we don't need that right now, we're gonna be deleting it anyways. So we just want to take extract all textures, white types, pick a file, navigate yourself into your project folder where you saved your white types, select them all, open, extract assets, and here I'm gonna create a new folder that I'm gonna call extract, and extract right here. Now it is going to take some time, from like 20 seconds up to 30 minutes, 1 hour, depends on your computer speed and how many textures it's actually trying to export. So be patient. You're gonna see a pop-up with extraction complete. Okay, so now we see extraction completed. We click OK. We can close the tool. And now we need to sort it out a little bit. So we just want to Control X on all textures. Put it right here. Control X on all textures. Put it right here. Replace files because it has some duplicates. Another one. Control X. Replace. Control X. Replace. And Control X. Replace. Now all of these, Shift delete, because we don't need them. We need just the textures. So that is all our textures. I will put them right here. I can delete the Y types and the extract folder. Now you see we exported almost 1100 textures. Some of them are prop textures, but some of them are like tiles, ENV maps, which is what you need for glass and such, or for reflect shaders. And yeah, you can right now go ahead and sort them out. So you grab like marble textures and you put them into one folder and so on and so forth. But don't forget to grab, always it has a normal texture, which is a diffuse texture. Then _N, that's the bump sampler. And then _S is spec sampler. So if this one has all three of those, you want to grab all three of those and have them in the same folder. You don't want to grab just these and move them and then look for the normal and spec in a different folder. You generally want them all in the same folder. For now, we're gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna copy the path just to bookmark it in Blender. So I'm going to select my shell, go into shader tools, never use default shader, never, always use normal, spec or normal for your MLOs. In this case, we're gonna use normal spec. We create just one for now. I'm gonna hop in here, hide everything, grab the Sollumz tab, put it all the way on top. Do not ever go into shading. You're gonna be using only layout and UV editing. Nothing else. You don't go into texture paint, you don't go into shading, you don't go anywhere else. Alright. So now we have our normal spec shader. We open the folder for diffuse. I'm gonna paste my all textures right here. And I'm gonna bookmark it. I have this junk bookmark right here, so whatever, ignore that. And here we want to search for some wall texture, any wall texture you want. I'm going to sort by size, just so I can see the higher quality up top. I'm gonna search for plaster. I see this NKVW pant has this, and this. So I'm gonna add them appropriately into the shader. Underscore N always goes into bump sampler, underscore S into spec sampler. Now yet another important thing, bump sampler from sRGB change to non-color. I'm going to embed the textures of the bed, just so I don't need to do it later. Now here, go into your UV maps and make sure you have only UV map 0 in here. If you don't have your UV map 0, if it's just UV map, name it UV map 0. And yeah, we can add another shader. I'm going to add another normal spec. Go into edit mode, face selection. I'm gonna select just the floor. Click on the second normal spec, hit assign. Now let's find some floor texture. So I want to use some wood. None of them look nice. Let's see how this one's gonna look. Anyways, if you select a texture that has only diffuse and normal matte, you want to use only normal shader. If you have a texture that uses diffuse and only spec, you want to use spec shader. If you have all three, like I do, you want to use normal spec. You never want to have a texture missing in here, okay? If you have a texture missing in here, when you load it into the game engine is gonna be searching for the missing texture and is gonna be pulling random textures from its surroundings. You want to avoid that. So make sure you always spell them out. Now you see it looks bleh. So hop into UV editing. Now first things first, to see textures, I'm going to hide this thing, and I can also click on this so I can see the model clearly without any interference. In render tab, disable shadows. Okay, I'm gonna open this again here just so I can see it better. And here you're in edit mode, face selection, so just press A, and then you can press U and unwrap in cube projection. Or if you have some other UV tools, you can unwrap it with them. I'm using UniV because it's unwrapping actually much better than the normal Blender UV unwrapping. Now for this floor, rotate 90, scale it down a bit. Yeah, I don't like this floor at all. I do like a different floor texture. Here I have most of the textures from almost all the MLOs within the game. I spent a lot of hours sorting it out. So I want to use this one, DLC 21 Interior Wood, because I really like this texture. For your purpose, it doesn't matter what texture you're gonna use. You always use what you prefer or what fits the theme or what you actually like. It doesn't need to match my textures one-to-one. Yeah, this wall also doesn't look the best. So for myself, I'm gonna change the plaster to this CJ Plaster White. It's all GTA textures. None of them are from a different website. All of this that I'm using, you can find yourself in GTA by exporting the textures the way we did in the beginning. So you don't need to worry about me using different textures because you may be exporting different MLOs that you like and you use the textures that you like. Okay. Now change bump to non-color. Yeah, and this wall looks much better. Okay, I'm gonna hop back into layout. And now let's tweak it a little bit. So, value parameters. And for the plaster, specular fall off, I'm gonna change to 10. And specular intensity to 0.1. This defines how reflective and shiny it gets. Plaster is not supposed to be shiny, so that's why I put the values low. You don't want the values to be at 0 because that's not how it works. I go the lowest always like 10 and 0.1 just to make sure I don't have it all at 0. And for the floor, you can see that here, if I go into the fall off multiplier and change it to 512, it becomes reflective. That's not how it's gonna look in game, but you have actually a small idea on how it's gonna somewhat render. So it was at 100, we wanted to set to like 40. And specular intensity 0.35. Yeah, maybe change it to 60. Okay, so the floor will be a little bit shinier than the walls, which is we're aiming for as natural looking floor as possible. It's not gonna be the most perfect thing to look at, but it is what it is. In order to fine-tune it, you can always hop back to Blender, change values, re-export, restart server, and check it again. So there's textures, some rough basic explanation on how they work. Now, if I were to create another thing, like let's say I would have the garage frame and I would want it from metal. Again, metal is supposed to be a little bit more reflective, so the fall off would be, let's say, 200 or 256, and the specular intensity would be set to 1 because it's metal. And you just follow these basic things. Like you want it to look like metal, you just increase the bottom value and leave the intensity at 1, check it in game, and then you continue. You either make it higher on fall off or lower on fall off. Depends what you like or what fits your creation. Okay, now since we have our shell ready, what you want to do is just duplicate it twice, rename one to placement. Second one would be first, always name GTA assets lowercase, numbers, and underscores. Never put dots in there, never put uppercase letters, nothing like that. Just lowercase, numbers, and underscores. And I like to make the naming hierarchy with a tag, BP86, underscore, what it is for, so YouTube, and what it is, if it's a shell or collision. So this one, for example, will be collision, so col, and the other one will be shell. You don't want it to be chaotic, shell, call, shell, blah, blah, blah. Just underscore call, you know this is collision, underscore shell, you know this is shell. You don't want this to be named shell call because there is no need. These two belong together, so it's just for you to understand that one of them is shell, one of them is collision. You don't need to be naming it way too overcomplicated. And yeah, I don't know how else to explain. Just name it as simple as possible. Tag, what it's for, your project, and what it is. Anyway, so since now we have these two, so your shell, you go into drawables, you convert to drawable, and your collision, you go into collisions and convert to composite. Now I'm gonna hide my shell and placement, select this one, remove shaders from there. This all looks okay. And create collision material. So I know I have my walls as plaster. So I want to add plaster, and floor is wood. So I want to add wood. Edit mode, floor selected, wood selected, assign. Now the floor has a wood collision, the walls and the ceiling, plaster collision. Simple. Now room ID, I immediately change here to 1 because we're gonna be having one room. This whole thing is gonna be one room. So room ID 1. I'm gonna explain that a little bit more when we're gonna be creating our Y type. So we have our shell collision. It all fits nicely together. Now let's fix this emissive garbage. So we want to rotate it a little bit. Doesn't need to be perfect. Hop into edit mode. We know that this window, these delete faces. Nothing else is in the way. So select back the emissive here, set it back to 0. So this is ready for export. Now for the building, I just want to select this empty, duplicate it, name it rotation. This is just to preserve our rotation values, nothing else. And we are pretty much ready for the next step, which will be creation of our Y type and positioning within CodeWalker and testing in game. See you in the next video, and if you have again any other questions or need help with something, feel free to join my Discord. The link will be in the video description. If you need the texture testing tool, you can also hop into that Discord, grab it right there. And yeah, see you in the next video.